What is a joint venture? So we're talking about joint ventures. What does that mean in the context of real estate investing, right? So joint ventures are prevalent in the business world, just in entrepreneurship and business in general. So we're specifically talking about real estate investing, which is our niche, right? And what it means for, in the context of kind of the level of real estate investor that we typically see, right, as clients or even ourselves, right? And so I am referring to our real estate investing lingo sheet here. It has a very brief couple of sentences on joint venture. And so our reference here says when two or more investors pool their resources and knowledge for a development project or investment, and this is very significant, each party maintains their own unique business identity while working together. Okay, so Alpha LLC is going to joint venture JV. They're going to JV with Bravo LLC, and they're gonna flip a property together. Okay, and so Alpha LLC and Bravo LLC, they may or may not create a Charlie LLC for this like one-off deal that they're partnering on together. Okay, and so they may just both take 50-50 ownership in the deal, or they may create an actual entity that their individual entities own 50-50 or whatever their percentage is, right? So entity or no entity, as far as what they're partnering on, that is less significant. The more significant distinction here for a joint venture is that they are not going into a long-term business together. This is typically a temporary deal that individuals or individual entities are conducting together, and then there's a kind of like a short-term like joint venture agreement in place for that one deal. Okay, so they're not partnering on a full-scale like long-term business together. So hopefully that makes sense. We see this a ton working with real estate investors. I think most of our clients that we have within Time Capital Bookkeeping have done a joint venture at one point, while we've been serving them, right? And so it's very, very easy for us on the bookkeeping side to get caught up in just the intricacies of each JV deal, like the deal structure. They own 20%, they own 80%, but for this other one, they own, it's a 55-45. It's very easy to overcomplicate how to account for things on the books. And we'll have a couple more videos for you kind of diving into different scenarios and exactly how to account for those on the books. But the two main things that you kind of need to hone into for every JV is someone has actual ownership over the property. Okay, so which partner has actual ownership over the property? Both of them may, but in most of the cases that I've personally seen, one person has ownership on paper of the property, and the other person, and they're managing the deal, and then the other person is like providing capital for the deal, but they're not lending, right? It's a JV. It's not a private lending relationship. They actually have equity in this deal, right? And so who owns the property, and then who is responsible for the financials, for keeping the financials, aka bookkeeping. Okay, so that's what we need to hone into. Your real estate investor client could be responsible for both. They could be responsible for one or the other. They could be responsible for neither. They could just be committing capital to the deal, so contributing to the joint venture, and that's their only part in this, right? And then they'll get a payout at the end. So there's a lot of different scenarios. So we will talk about, kind of what things look like with flips, which is what we typically see, because flips are short-term, they're transactional, flipping properties. And so that's where we usually see these joint venture agreements is with flip properties because it's a short-term deal. We rarely see joint ventures with rental properties because investors typically hold rental properties for a long period of time, like a minimum of 3 to 5 years, but usually even longer than that, right? So that's more of a longer term partnership, but it still could be a joint venture on a rental property because you have two people or two entities maintaining their own identities, right? So Alpha LLC maintains, that they are Alpha LLC, and then Bravo LLC maintains the same, and they're joint venturing on this one rental property that they're going to hold and then one day sell, right? So it can be a little confusing because it's, you could argue that's a long-term partnership, but they are not creating an actual business together. Like that's the way I look at it. Alpha LLC is maintaining Alpha's business. Bravo LLC is maintaining Bravo's business and all their branding and marketing and all the business stuff, right? And they're just partnering on this like one-off deal together, whether it's a flip or a rental property. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I kind of went in circles there and talked about kind of the same thing from a few different angles, but I'm hoping that makes sense. Just the main thing to remember is do not overcomplicate this. We have accounts within our chart of accounts to deal with this. And the main things we need to know is who owns the deal, who is managing the deal, and who is responsible for the financials of the deal, aka the bookkeeping. Okay. I will leave it here so this intro to joint venturing isn't too long for you. Thank you for your time. I hope you learned something. On to the next video.